Hello and welcome to Orient Live. It's Tuesday night here at the Goalkeeper Group Stadium and the O's are looking to get their season back on track as we face Rotherham United this evening. We're seeing shots from just outside the stadium earlier this evening. Jack Curry receiving very warm well wishes from it looks like probably his family. Rotherham United joining us here in E10. I'm Andrew Butler, keeping my seat warm for Ollie Buck this evening, and I'm very delighted to be welcoming two Orient legends once again to the Orient Live studio, Jabo Ibre and Joe Wooderson. Joe, we've hit probably a bit of a sticky spell, I think it's fair to say, so far of late, but how do you see this evening's fixture go?
I think it's an important game. Another opportunity to try and find our way out of that sort of sticky patch that we're definitely in. I think of late, obviously, results haven't been the best, but we sort of seem to find ourselves on the wrong side of very, very fine margins. Performances have been by and large, okay, pretty good at times, but we just keep finding ourselves edged out often by the single goal. So, I think for Richie it seems like at the moment we're having to keep clean sheets in order to give ourselves any sort of chance to get a result in games, which isn't ideal because you are going to concede at times, and we need our front men to sort of be chipping in with more goals to help give us more of a chance. So I think, for Richie, it's another opportunity to try and find that balance of, keeping it tight defensively, but also, creating more goal scoring chances and trying to find the back of the net a bit more.
Yeah, and Jabo, goals have been hard to come by of late. What do you think needs to be done differently? It's actually not so much the goals, also it's the kind of clear goal scoring opportunities that have been hard to come by.
Yeah, I think a lot of the opportunities that have happened this season, they've been like speculatively shots, long range shots, great skill, conjured individual stuff, but we're not getting those nitty gritty balls whizzed across the face of the goals, scrappy goals, deflections, just like ricocheting, someone gets a strike. I think we need to be a bit more ruthless in trying to get in those areas and creating those opportunities. Like I said, an iffy chance rather than a clean, precise, intricate movement. Let's just take shots. Let's get the balls whizzed across the face of the box. Let's get runs across the near post and give ourselves a chance to get a bit of a messy goal. And sometimes, as a front player, when you score one of those goals, it kind of just starts to boost that confidence because you're not always going to score screamers from 20 yards and stuff. You're trying to see a bit more opportunities coming from that sort of player.
Brilliant. Let's start with the Orient team. This evening, only one change from the team that lost to Northampton at the weekend in that 1-0 defeat at Sixfields, and we line up as follows. So in goal, keeping his place, Josh Keeley. In the back line, Tom James at right back, Omar Beckles and Dan Happy in the middle, and Jack Curry on the left. Darren Pratley is the only change here, coming in for Don Ball. That's the only change, partnering Jordan Brown in the middle of the park, and it looks as if though Ollie O'Neill will be starting out on the left hand side of attack, Ethan Galbraith in that 10 role, Charlie Kelman on the right and Dan Adji up top. On the bench, Zach Hemming, Jaden Sweeney, Jack Simpson, Brandon Cooper, Don Ball, Sonny Perkins and Zek Obiero. So Joe, not many changes. We quite often see sometimes wholesale changes when you lose the game on Saturday and then you come for a home fixture on the Tuesday. What does that kind of tell you about the way that Richie's approaching this game?
Yeah, perhaps he doesn't have maybe the options that he wants, to make, or also, perhaps he doesn't feel there's too much wrong with the performance, and he trusts the boys that he put out on Saturday to go and get it right tonight, and with a slightly different outcome. I think we know that this team the squad is a good group of players, talented youngsters, perhaps maybe a little bit of a lack of experience in certain areas of the pitch, but I think Jabba made a really good point there. I love the way we play, the way we build up, and our sort of footballing philosophy. But when we get in the final third of the pitch, can we try and find ways to be a bit more ruthless? Can we make other teams defend and make mistakes and kind of suffocate teams when we get into that final third? Whether it's crosses, shots. Do you know what I mean? Really sort of find a way to penetrate the opposition defence a little bit more than we do, because we're sort of we move the ball so nicely at times, but it's almost a little bit passive and a little bit easy to defend against. I think sometimes we just need to sort of be a bit more direct in order to try and create chances.
And Jabo, just that touching on that top four, but really looking as if though Dan Agyei's going to start up top with Charlie coming out on the right. Those two, it's almost like placing blocks in different spaces, and Dan looks like he's starting up top this evening. Played okay against Northampton, had an opportunity as well, one-on-one. What do you expect from him this evening?
Well, I expect him to, he's so unassuming at times and so deceptive with his pace and his running. Sometimes he's dribbling, you think, is he going quick enough? And he just goes past people. And you need that unpredictability. And I think, sometimes a striker, when it's not going for you, you lose that sort of like, that unpredictability in a sense of, okay, you just do the basics because you're not confident and you're not. So having Dan up there, I think he offers that. He can give a bit of extra guile and stretch the play that can create space for Galbraith to do his magic. And I think if he can get on the ball, which he kind of did earlier on in the game on Saturday, Galbraith got on the ball, turned and dribbled, and that's how Dan Agyei made a great run and we got that chance. And I think we can set that tone early. It will allow that space to get those passes, get those patterns. But then once we are in those wide areas, can we just have a product? Can we have a strike? Whether it goes across the face to goal on target, it might hit someone, land at someone else's feet, and you just get another attempt and goal. So just be a bit more tempo and fluid in the attack.
Yeah, let's hear from the gaffer ahead of this evening's fixture. We caught up with Richie Wellings earlier on to hear his thoughts.
Rotherham obviously came down in the summer, had a change of manager, signed a lot of players very early on in the window. Had a little bit of an indifferent start. What kind of challenge are they going to put to us?
Well, one of the biggest clubs in the league, been in the Championship for probably 3 out of the last 6 years maybe. Good manager at this level, knows how to win games. Big football club. It's difficult when you get in so many. I think he lost a lot of players. So everybody was saying that he's signing a lot of players, but I do think he lost a lot of players in the summer. So that can be difficult. It can take time to integrate players into the way of playing, into the culture of the club. Sometimes it can happen quickly. Sometimes it takes a bit of time. So I think they've started picking up points in recent weeks, and they can find ways to win. They can find different ways to win. They've got some good footballers, but they also have a bit of power in the team. So it's like any League One game. If we need to do the basics right, if you look at the goals we've conceded, we just don't do basics right at that moment. No, a long throw, flick on. We don't track a runner. It's a basic. So if we can get our basics right, then we've given everybody a game so far, but we want to be on the right end of the moments, and it will turn.
You started to touch on it there, but where do we need to be good to get a positive result tomorrow?
We want to pass the ball because that's what we're about, but we can't just pass the ball for the sake of it, passing. So we highlight 2 things. Northampton have a real narrow back four and quite high, and when they're high, let's play in behind. Let's get our full-backs in where we can play early crossing. I think you've seen signs of that. And then once that happens and you're doing that well, the distance then between the defence and the midfield becomes big, and then we can start getting Galbraith on the ball. We've done that really well where we play around the corner and Galbraith dribbles and sets Dan Agyei up for a chance where we're through one-on-one. But we just don't do it often enough. And if we can do that more often, one of the biggest things is when we're doing well in the game, we then start to change the way we're playing. And we just don't need to. We just need to doing what we're doing better, quicker, with more intent.
Good stuff from the gaffer there, very confident ahead of this evening's fixture. And remember, this evening's fixture is available to stream outside of the UK and Ireland on Orient Live. The new EFL broadcast deal means that all of our league games are available to live stream outside of the UK and Ireland during this season. Domestic live streaming is no longer available due to a new broadcast agreement, but selected games, including all midweek fixtures like tonight, will be available to watch on the Sky Sports Plus app in the UK. Overseas fans can buy a live video match pass for today for just £10 by heading to LeytonOrient.com, where overseas subscriptions are also available. And now one man who knows a thing or two putting the ball in the back of the net is our own Terry Howard. Let's hear from his latest pre-match assessment ahead of this evening's fixture.
Terry, been frustrated at home so far this season, still looking for that first win. Could tonight hopefully be the night?
Well, we can hope. I mean, it's going to be difficult. Rotherham seems to have found a little bit of form up until Saturday. I think they've a little bit of a mini run of being unbeaten in about 4 or 5 in the league. I think Wrexham turned them over at the weekend. So it's going to be another tough game tonight.
When you're on a tricky run, particularly at home, how important does a player's sort of mentality and mental strength become?
Very important. When you're in a run like this, it is important that the players keep their own self-confidence, but the confidence in the players with them as well as a team. If you lose that confidence, it's going to make it a lot more difficult. So I would imagine Richie in there is sort of, reassuring players, saying, "Come on, we are good enough, individually and as a team." Our team performances, by and large, have been reasonable this season, very reasonable. It's just that putting the ball in the net. I think an early goal would really settle us down. It's not something we've done very often this season. Got our heads in front.
Something I asked of Richie yesterday was that when it feels like we're close to getting those wins, when it's a situation like that, does that make it easier to keep those confidence levels to a good level, if that makes sense?
I would imagine that the boy Richie, like as a manager, I mean, look, this is not just about coaching players; it's about coaching minds. When you get on that pitch, you've got to be in the right state of mind. And I imagine Richie knows that. He's an experienced manager. He'll make sure that we go out there in the right frame of mind tonight. We're more than capable of getting a result, but we've got to really, it's no good us keep saying it, we've been saying each week, we're not far away, We've really got to start turning performance into goals and results.
Rotherham came down from the Championship last year. Decent sized club at this level, lots of experienced players. Where do we need to be effective to stop them first of all, and then also impose ourselves on them?
Well, I was just looking at a few big lads out there. I'd imagine like Steve Evans would be quite a big imposing side. They'll get the ball forward early. We know from Steve playing against Rotherham and Stevenage sides of Steve Evans that we've got to match them physically. We've got to play our football, but if we don't match them in that area, we're going to have problems. We know the way he likes to play. As I say, they don't just lump the ball, they get the ball forward early, but they get the ball in the box early, and our defenders really have got to be on their guard tonight, because as I say, they're going to be quite busy, I would imagine.
And just lastly, our supporters have had to get used to coming here on a Tuesday night due to the way the fixtures have fallen. How big a role can they play?
Oh, listen, we always say if we get the support behind us, I remember as a player, if you had the supporters behind you, it really helps. And tonight, if things don't start as well as we hope, I just hope that the crowd stay with us, because they're important. They've got to stay with us throughout. When you're a supporter, you've got to be through thick and thin, and we've been through some thin, let's be honest, this season. And as I say, they've been okay, the supporters. They've done their best to get behind the side. More than ever, we need them now, because as I say, we're sort of falling into a little area that we've got to be a little bit careful. There's a long way to go this season, and I say it again, our performance level's been okay, but we need to start getting some results.
Great to hear from Terry there. And remember, this is your last chance to book on for the second week of November now. This is the very last chance for overseas supporters to book onto our annual International Day, which will take place when we host Blackpool in E10. It'll be great to see as many of you overseas fans here as possible, and if you already haven't already booked, do book on now. And if you see any of us while you're over here, do come and say hello as well. We'd love to see you while you're over here and make your trip all the more special, especially if you meet one of these two guys as well. Now let's move on to someone who's kept his place in the team for this evening after making his professional debut in the league against Northampton. Josh Keeley, on loan from Spurs, and the youngster keeps his place in the team this evening. Joe Jabbo, I haven't seen a great deal of the young man since he's arrived at the club at Spurs. He obviously played against Brentford in the Carabao Cup and was fairly impressive, I thought, in that game. We'll see clips of him in that game now. But Joe, it's obviously getting your debut at a young age is a big thing, but then kind of keeping on top as well is another thing.
Yeah, especially for a goalkeeper, he's a very young man right at the start of his career, and with sort of goalkeepers, especially young goalkeepers, it takes them a while to sort of establish themselves and sort of be trusted to play in goal. I think it's a position where if you make a mistake or get something wrong, you can get punished, and often you do see that with young keepers. But I have to say, he looks a confident young man. He, by all accounts, did fairly well in his debut, and he obviously comes with good pedigree from Spurs. Good footballing education, and hopefully he can keep his first clean sheet tonight.
Fantastic. And we caught up with Josh earlier in the week to hear about his reflections on Saturday's game and looking ahead to this evening's fixture.
It was mixed emotions on Saturday. Obviously I was delighted to make my professional league debut, but at the same time we couldn't get all 3 points in a game where we looked like we could have taken all 3 points from the start, but it was just one of them things, and I don't think they really had anything on us. Obviously they got a throw in and score from two flick-ons, and then from there we were just kind of chasing the game, but I don't think it's something that we have to fear really. I think things will change very soon. It's just obviously a bump in the road. I think the same thing happened last season, and we obviously went on a run of games then. So I'm looking forward to the next few games, and so are the rest of the boys. I think it was a game where I kind of had a lot of the ball. The team didn't really press me that much. It's hard to show what I can do, but I just try and play as much as I can, and obviously if it's not on I can't play, but yeah, I'll try and show my ability to play as much as I can. The relationship with the goalkeepers, it's always good. Even since I first walked in here, all the boys are tight as always, you know what I mean? It only takes about a week to get to know everybody, and yeah, no, they've been really supportive. Like, first game back at Brentford, Zach was really good with me before the game, and then before the game as well there for my league debut, him and Noah and Royce, goalie coach, they're all backing me the whole way, so no, it's good. The move's fine. Like, obviously we're all very disappointed that we're not really picking up points or results, but it's something that we're working hard on, and we're kind of getting together as a group to just figure out what we can do, what we can change. But no, it's definitely not. It's not permanent anyway. Something's gonna happen soon. Since I stepped in the door, there hasn't been one bad mood or anything like that with anyone. Or, like, everybody gets along like a house on fire. So I love a bit of a challenge, especially when teams are quite physical, and love putting balls into the box because it's my game really at the end of the day, and I'm well used to it. Obviously playing last season in the National League, it was just every game was like that. So yeah, now I'm looking forward to it. We've just got to take it step by step, and next focus is tomorrow now against Rotherham. But once we start picking up results and winning games that we should win, that we know we should win, then I think things will just click.
Good stuff there from Josh, and all the best to him this evening. Now let's have a look and turn to the Rotherham United team, the visitors coming here to the Goalkeeper Group Stadium for this evening's game. Coming in off the back of a 1-0 loss against Wrexham at the weekend, Steve Evans' men, they also only make one change, and that sees Liam Kelly come in for Cohen Bramall. They'll have Cameron Dawson in goal, Joe Rafferty, Jamie McCart, a familiar name to many Orient fans, Cameron Humphreys and Reece James across the back. I have to stress that's not the Reece James, of course. Joe Powell and Chris Teehee will be in front of the back four, with Liam Kelly, Malik Wilkes, Hakeem Odofin and Sam Nombe making up their starting 11. And on the bench for the Millers will be Dylan Phillips, Cohen Bramall, Jordan Hugill, Alex McDonald, Zach Jules, Joe Hungbo and Jack Holmes making up their bench. Jabbo, Rotherham, a team who've picked up of late, apart from that defeat to Wrexham, in which they conceded after, I think, 15 seconds or so. They're coming in with a little bit of form.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, I think they're 3 unbeaten on the road now. They were narrowly beaten at the weekend, although they've lost their chief goal scorer in Johnson Clark Harris. But they had opportunities at the weekend that they weren't ruthless enough to take them. So they still pose a threat. They're in good form. They're in good spirits. They're, I think, 4 points off the playoff position. So they'll be gunning for something today, and they're probably trying to capitalise on Orient's vulnerability today.
And Joe, Jabbo touched on that. Johnson Clark Harris misses out again this evening. He's a big miss for them, but we'll see some of Rotherham's highlights here from the season and where they've been getting their goals from. They have picked up a bit of late, but what do you expect to see from Rotherham?
I think, as you said, it's, missing Johnson Clark-Harris for them tonight will be a blow. He's he's their talisman. He's been their main source of goals this season. Big, experienced striker at this level, proven goal scorer. So pretty. From an Orient point of view, it's good to see him missing out tonight. But I think they'll be direct. We know how Steve Evans likes to set his teams up. They do tend to go back to front quite quick. They'll look to play down the sides of us, and they will, get us turned and make us have to defend at times. I think it will be, a physical contest. Steve Evans' his teams, they're always physical. They're tough to play against. They're energetic and hard running. So. I think as Jabbo touched on, they are in fairly good form of late, and after a slow start they're starting to pick up. So I think it'll be a real tough test. I think they'll, as Jabbo said as well, they'll probably look to try and start fast and try and expose or capitalise maybe on our recent results, and probably hope that we're not in the most confident sort of frame of mind at the moment. But I think it's important that we really stand up to them sort of physically. And match their energy, especially in the early stages of the game, to sort of give us a chance to get a result. Yeah, and
Jabbo, Rotherham are a sort of club that they kind of bounce in between the Championship and League One. Obviously, Richie Wellens mentioned it in his interview earlier. I think it's three seasons in the last 6 they've been in the Championship. So it's one of those games that on paper, now of course football isn't played on paper, does look like a tricky one.
Yeah, definitely. They've got a lot of experience, in getting out of this league and playing in the Championship. But at the same time, they're back with us, and there's an opportunity there, regardless of what they've done in previous seasons. They're in League One. It's an opportunity for us to stake a claim and match up against a side that's vying to get back to the Championship level. But it's just we have to start fast. We have to start with an intensity and a hunger today. Get the fans on side early, and hopefully that will galvanise the boys, because we haven't been far off it in recent games. It's just that little bit that we just keep losing by the odd goal. But if we go ahead, maybe we can capitalise and hold out for the win.
Now, before we go back to talking about our lineup and the O's this evening, I wanted to test you boys a little bit. Now, knowing a thing or two about playing against Rotherham, Jabbo, you played once against them. Do you know how that game went?
If I remember correctly, it was a long time ago. Jeez. Probably, did we lose?
You lost, yeah. It was in 2006. Joe, this is the real quiz here. Do you remember 24th of January 2009?
Professional debut.
It might be. It might have been.
Maybe. Rotherham was the first club I made my debut for, playing for Rotherham.
Okay.
Is this playing against Rotherham?
Yeah.
No, but I remember early stages of my career losing quite a bit to them.
Okay. Well, on the 24th of January 2009, you scored against Rotherham in a 3-2 victory. So, I mean, you might be hanging
Blundell Park.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
It's
coming back.
3-2 win. And so, I mean, we might be, clutching at a few straws here, but I mean, we've got a man who scored against Rotherham.
Nice. We'll take that.
In a home victory there. The players are going to be coming out onto the pitch fairly shortly, but if we can have a look at the Orient team for this evening as they start making their way out onto the pitch very, very shortly. So in goal, keeping his place, Josh Keeley. In the back line, Tom James at right back, Omar Beckles and Dan Happy in the middle, and Jack Curry on the left. Darren Pratley comes in for Don Bull. That's the only change from the 1-0 loss away at Northampton at the weekend, partnering Jordan Brown in the middle of the park. And it looks as if though Ollie O'Neill will be playing out on the left hand of attack, Ethan Galbraith in the number 10 role, and Charlie Kelman on the right with Dan Adji up front. On the bench, Zach Hemming, Jaden Sweeney, Jack Simpson, Brandon Cooper, Don Bull, Sonny Perkins and Zek Obiero. A couple of minutes before we hand over to the commentary team of Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock. Jabbo, just your kind of final thoughts ahead of this evening's fixture.
I just think we need to start fast and start with that confidence and getting on the ball, getting Galbraith in between the lines and getting him turning and driving with the ball, get the crowd lifted, and I think we'll be in it. It's nice to see Dan up top with that unpredictability and his coolness, and hopefully he'll make up for his opportunity on Saturday, which I have no doubt, he's a very good player, and hopefully it'd be an edgy game with a slight goal would be the difference, I think, today. And
Joe, no home victories so far this season for us, of course, and it has been a little bit of a stop-start type of a season with the international breaks, and it's felt a little bit choppy, and great opportunity against a team who are also kind of languishing down the bottom end of League One to put that right this evening.
Yeah, great opportunity to get our first home win of the season. I think can we match their energy, especially early on? Can we get them turned? Can we play in their half as much as possible? Try and feed our attacking players, give them confidence, get them running at their back four and testing their defence. And yeah, just a good positive start, I think, and hopefully get an early goal would be nice.
Great stuff. And now it's time to hand over to our matchday commentary team of Matt Hiscock and Dave Victor as the Orient players and the Rotherham players take the pitch.
Hoping that tonight could see the sweetest victory of all, because the last time these two sides met, of course, was at Wembley over 10 years ago, and Rotherham on that occasion winning